Right, everybody. What you just saw there was a draw to decide who goes first in this game, and it is going to be Jackson Smylie who wins that draw, drawing a D to Rafi's I to win the right to go first in this game. Matt, that is generally considered to be a very subtle advantage.
Yeah, it's about 56 to 44 going first versus going second, akin to playing white versus black in chess. I think the numbers are fairly close to that. I think Jackson got to go first in all three games in this best of three. I want to point out that's not direct or favoritism or anything else going out. This was not officially a best of three, just the final three games of a 31 game tournament. And it seems like Jackson had two fewer seconds than Rafi coming in. So Jackson got to play first in round 29 and round 30. They were even on first and seconds in this game. So the computer's saying at 15 apiece, you're going to draw. Jackson wins the draw. Jackson goes first in all three of these games.
Yeah, which is surprising. If this were sort of a more traditional finals where the players advanced into a best of X match, that would not be the case. But these two players actually kind of set up a de facto finals between themselves by playing so friggin' well over the course of the tournament that they were the only two players that had a realistic chance of winning this thing. So it is Jackson going first, and it looks like he's going to slap down Ilium extremely quickly, getting rid of one of his two E's, and the clunky U and M together seems very standard, Matt.
Yeah, Ilium is so correct, and Jackson even more correct to play this in under 30 seconds. That's huge. Jackson is able to crush these early, easy decisions and save that clock to make the harder decisions later on. Well done from Jackson, a correct start. Rafi, Dehiot, but the J to synergize with that. Joe to the E in Ilium keeps a great bingo-prone leave. I don't think Rafi spins long here before pulling the trigger on that one.
Yeah, that looks great. What's wrong with that? Joe here getting rid of that J on the triple letter score, scoring 26. Best of all, you keep a nice bingo leaf with a D in it, and any 7-letter word with a D will still fit nicely with id on the board after that play. Maybe you get lucky and hit something into the M or one of the other letters on the board, but I would be thinking if I'm Rafi, boy, I just need a 7 ending in D, and I'm in good shape.
And sevens ending in D draw pretty often into that rack. We'll see what he pulls, but Jackson CEEE RXY on this turn has fun decisions to make. I love when we see players draw racks like this and have these options in front of them. From a sheer equity perspective, by far the strongest option for Jackson is to play Ox Eye here. A, that's hard to spot, but Jackson can certainly find plays like this. B, oh my God, look what it does. But it is so much stronger than any other option for Jackson, who would otherwise have to make meh plays like EXEC. Oxeye is a play that's hard to make without an S, but it's so strong. What do you think, Will?
I would be extra scared of a play like that after a 2-tile play by my opponent. You just know that in general, we've said it a number of times, if your opponent plays a short or small number of tiles, it often means that they've got, if you play 2 tiles, for example, like with Joe, it means that Rafi is happy with his other 5 tiles. There's a reason that he probably kept them. And one of the tiles that you'd be most apt to keep is an X. So I really don't think Jackson is going to pull the trigger after a play like Joe specifically, even though it is sorely tempting from a points and leave value standpoint. I do feel like we are going to see a different option, and it is Mercy instead. Matt, I think this makes a lot of sense. It's probably the move that I would make here over Oxeye.
Man, yeah, that's a fun decision. Oxeye is such a fun play, but you're right. After the 2-tile fish from Rafi, and S is in his range a lot, it's so hard to pull the trigger on that. I think Jackson wisely adjusted his game to the read he had, although us at home know the read was incorrect in this iteration. Rafi has missed bingos into DEHIT. He's picked an L and another T to go here. That's going to give him a tough decision on this turn, but I think a pretty standard move here is ditch, D-I-T-C-H, holds E-L-T, scores 22. I don't see much else for him to think about. Just kind of grab the equity and keep going, right?
Funny thing about ditch in this spot is it plays right into Jackson's hands holding the X on the previous turn. He's just going to get a tailor-made place if ditch is the play to dump X for a huge score and set up another S hook with his beautiful S containing leave, which is going to be M-I-N-E-S. So ditch looks like a very natural play for Rafi here. I just wonder, is he going to find a way to get off of that as an option and switch over to something like third in this spot using all the same letters for 3 fewer points? Normally, you would play ditch in a heartbeat. That's what's going to happen. I feel like it's actually not 3, it's 5 more points, making it all the crazier to consider another option. I don't really fault Rafi for this, Matt.
Incredibly, third was actually simming ahead of ditch, even with the 5-point sacrifice. But third opens up the big back hook to make thirds. And without an S on Rafi's rack, I think he makes what this is a play I would make for sure here. Third simming ahead is shocking to me, but he is going to get smacked by Jackson here.
Yeah, that is a shocker to me, but it is worth pointing out that this spot instantly becomes the focal point for a lot of consonants that might not really do much elsewhere on the board. Certainly the X. I don't think there's a great reason to think Jackson has the X, but there's a ton of other stuff that fits there between the H, the K, the M, the P. There's certainly a bunch of other letters that all of a sudden you are giving points back. I'm astonished that third, actually the computer engine liking it over ditch. No problem for me as a human being playing ditch. And Jackson is now considering whether he wants to play mixer or just EX. I like this choice, Matt.
Well, mixer is 7 more. Mixer is 60. EX is 53, but such a stable nucleus on Jackson's rack, EIMNS. This goes right for him very often. He draws bingos that play to EDS and takes a huge lead in this game. And wow, what a draw, a B and a blank. So not only will he bingo, he'll have a high scoring bingo next turn. Great draw from Jackson with an early lead.
Yeah, that is a huge one for him. He's just taken a solid lead with that big X play, and it's about to get bigger next turn. Almost certainly there are 7-letter words on that rack that will play. Depending on Rafi's next move, Jackson will have a little bit of a choice about where to play them, but I certainly feel like something like Milnebs right here, getting the B in the best scoring spot on the board is going to be tough to beat for Jackson. And Rafi's draw is a huge one here. He needs something good to be able to keep pace after this bingo.
A beautiful decision on the last turn from Rafi. You don't like to fish on closed boards, but this line available, and ATE bingos now fit. He set himself up wisely. I don't think he hit the bingo, though, but we'll see what ends up in space. For Jackson on this turn, there are several playable bingos, but Milnebs for 80 scores 12 more than any other option. That's what he's going to play here.
After Milnebs, we will see Rafi have one and only one option to counter bingo, and it's going to be pretty crazy. So down comes Milnebs, the best option. After this, through the blank L, Rafi will be forced to play Oscillate right here with huge volatility, Matt, opening an E in the triple lane and an O in another good scoring lane. The board is going to be absolutely bonkers after that. But for a solid score, 68 points, his only bingo option, Rafi absolutely must play that and cross his fingers.
He trails by 105. You've got one playable bingo. You have to play it. Jackson's post bingo draw now so important with the sequence we see coming. Val's bad news for Jackson. but the S is a great start. Is he going to triple on Rafi again here?
It's definitely still in play right here.
Dispute.
Dispute on the
Oh
rack.
my God. Plays at the
Dep-
bottom too.
Deputies would be through the E of ocellate. I don't think that deputies or deputize would be a triple there, but Jackson is going to answer this bingo of 68 points for Rafi, assuming he sees it. I think he will. There it comes, but this is going to play right into Jackson's hands. He's going to hit this even harder, almost 90 points on offer for him here in response. Huge swing in his favor.
Wow, yeah, that post bingo draw was huge. So much of Scrabble comes down to post bingo draws, but look at this. Rafi's on hold, and then Jackson releasing. That's a little tilt-inducing move as well. See, I hold words when I'm a little bit unsure, and then I let them go correctly. Oh, mind games from Jackson.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Oh, man, Rafi is going to need some good stuff, and he's going to need a lot of it in a hurry if he's going to keep pace with another 90-pointer here. He's drawn decently well. Ooh, those letters are pretty good. I don't know if there's anything available for him that I'm seeing immediately, but yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Matt, are you seeing anything that I'm not?
So I assume Deputize is going to be the play from Jackson. This and Deputies, his highest scoring bingo, but Jackson's going to pick this one because of this blue square right here.
Oh,
Huh?
or not. He's just going to allow a potentially big scoring spot to go through. He has hit his clock, so his play is Deputies, making a big scoring spot, which allows Rafi to play down. He wants to use his B in that spot and score a bunch of points. I do feel like that might have been a missed opportunity, Matt.
I don't know. When you're ahead, you actually want just a bunch of spots to score 40 open on the board. You don't want spots to score 100, but barring like TH or something PH, it's actually pretty hard for a 100-pointer to fit there. So I think Jackson is saying, yeah, maybe if you do bingo here or here or here, that's fine. I'll score 50 every turn for the rest of this game and just preserve my lead. An interesting decision from Jackson. I would have played defense, though.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. Rafi has a bunch of choices now. Yes, I agree with the point that when you're winning, it's nice to have a nice volatile board that has scoring spots that you can use to continue to put pressure on your opponent. But this does allow Rafi to do something here that scores well and creates a lane that's really annoying. And I would love to see him play Boral here. Boral is actually a word that kind of sneakily takes an S hook. Maybe you can confuse Jackson with this play. It looks like he's considering bowler, which is an adjective and won't hook. I think Rafi really has to try to switch around the R and L in this word so that he gives himself a sneaky S hook maybe Jackson won't be confident in.
It requires such a good grasp of the lexicon to make decisions like this, but this shows why word study and word prep is so important. You might be faced with this decision. Is it Boral or Bolar that takes the S? You know, one day that word might come up, and it might be the difference in a championship game. Does Rafi know the hooks to both of those words? But I agree, Boral would be awesome in that spot, setting up a big S hook and a knowledge check from Jackson, who was quote unquote shaky on a word or two rounds ago.
Yeah, for sure. So looks like Bairn is another option. This one is going to be much clearer to both players. I do feel like if you're going to pick between two tiles, I would rather have IN after Boral compared to LO after Bairn. I just think certainly there are three Gs that you can draw. If you draw a G to your IN leave, you're eyeing this spot all of a sudden where an ING bingo would play. Of course, Jackson is apt to try to block that spot if he can. But I feel like anytime you're evaluating the likelihood of ING bingos manifesting themselves or how good are they on this board, you'd at least like to see one spot where they'd all play. And as the board is currently constituted, there is one. But that being said, all right, there we go. Are we going to see Bowler and then maybe some confusion about the S hook in this game?
You've got to wonder if Jackson knows the hook. You've got to wonder if Rafi knows the hook. We never know up here in the booth, but these seem like very human mistakes, very human lapses in word knowledge, and they may come up in a huge way in this game.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see the choice here. It definitely, it's important to note that the confusion could cut both ways easily, and that could be a reason why Rafi opts for a different play here. And it looks like, yeah, Baron is the play here, leaving LI instead. And that makes a lot more sense. Now it's clearer to both players. There is a big S hook on the board that is going to loom large over the rest of this game. So now up to Jackson. Good bingo tiles for him, but no playable bingo and an F that he'll probably want to score with. Or will he try to take a more defensive tack, Matt?
We'll look at Jackson's turn in just a minute, but Baron is more than an S hook. Baron sneakily sets up not one, but two additional back hooks. Baron takes the Y for barony as well as a G for barong. So big spot at the bottom of the board, and Jackson doesn't have any of the equipment to handle it or cash in there. I feel like if you're Jackson with this lead, you're drawn straight to a play here to try to knock off just the explosive opportunity. But a bit of a feint there from Rafi. He doesn't have any of those tiles either. Jackson has great plays as well on this board. FON or FOND up here are great options, great leads. Very tough decision for Jackson about whether he should play something like FOR or FOE in this corner versus playing Fond right now.
That's a great point, Matt. I did not consider the extra hooks on Baron. First of all, that makes it even more volatile and is potentially likelier to draw more of Jackson's attention than another play might have done in the same spot. So yeah, Foe is a sacrifice in equity for Jackson. But Rafi has not drawn well enough to really immediately capitalize on that. And now his hook that maybe he would have hoped to use himself is gone, and he's going to have to dump a lot of clunk on this turn here.
Man, yeah, a lot of clunk on his rack. He's got to try to get rid of it, but every play he makes seems to do bad things to the board. VAKIL is a nice 5 that plays right there for a bunch of points, but LO has very few productive back hooks, so you're really crippling this line. You're putting the blockiest tile in the game, a V out in space. That play sucks from Rafi's perspective with the deficit that he faces. So I think we're going to see something like Wink. This does a bunch of really cool things to the board. It sets up front hooks S and T here. It sets up lines to bingo in this spot as well, and it works through a lot of the clunk. I love this play of Wink from Rafi.
Yeah, what a clever idea. It's just a shame that after that you leave the V. That's the only blemish, but the V, not a great bingo tile, but there's certainly still things that you can draw with it. So hopefully one kind of cool thing after Wink is leaving LAV. If Rafi is able to draw an E, he could potentially follow up with a nice play for his V right here with Levo opening the board again with more lanes. So, and scoring quite well in the process. And meanwhile, Jackson's tiles have gone south in a hurry. This is not good. The sequence that the chat has spotted, Matt, Vakil, the normal play you would use to get rid of a lot of that clunk, is going to be met with a bingo of Viridian here. So Rafi dodging a basically instant game loser of a scenario there. Nicely done.
Man, there is absolutely justice in Scrabble sometimes, and no justice at other times, but that would have been the ultimate Scrabble justice. Vacule is a good play in some instances, but a terrible one here. If Rafi had made that play, he would have deserved the Viridian Nightmare scenario and everything that happened after. But Rafi is far too smart to make an instant game over play. Independent of his knowledge of Jackson's rack, he can't make that play. Rafi's going to be rewarded, but not in the tile bag. Oh my goodness. He can play Volva and get out of that, but another rough draw for him.
Yeah, that's brutal. Not what he needs. Time is running out here as Jackson is going to potentially land a good draw one of these turns. He's been knocking on the door. Actually, that's really not true. He just had the one draw after deputies. That wasn't another bingo, and this is really his lone super rough draw of the game. So, but still, Jackson's tiles are good enough that one balancing play at something good could be really tough for Rafi to weather at this point. So drawing those terrible letters, just a brutal blow for his winning chances in the mid game here.
Jackson's got a neat decision. At this score, there are two lines to victory. One is defense, 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 and obstruct. And the other is forget about it. I'm just going to score a ton and hope you never catch up. The play of Diamin, Diamin, up here is 22, holds IR, works through this rack well, but more or less ensures this board is going to stay open for the remainder of this game. That's hard to swallow. So I kind of like this option here, Radii. Look at that. Yeah, this is an even better version, but I love putting an I right here, knocking out everything that Rafi just worked so hard to do. Fantastic from Jackson.
Yeah, that's great positional awareness on his part. I think Rafi is pretty much committed to playing. Yeah, what? That's exactly what he's doing. Before I can even say anything, he places it on the board. No need to waste any time. Shedding both V's and a U in one go definitely makes sense. And oh my gosh, what a draw for Jackson. The 4 A's look horrible, but Matt, you're reacting to this draw.
Jackson has a bingo here. If you've ever played Animal Crossing, you might know the fish he has. 4 A's looks impossible to bingo with, but Jackson crushed Rafi's spirits with area ways earlier, and now finding the beautiful Arapaima. That's a 70-pointer, and yet I don't even know that he can play that. He's got to think first. 70 points, but leave a triple alone. Set up 2 Z-bombs on top. Maybe it's better to play Varia here and eliminate your nightmare scenarios. Maybe it's better to play Arapaima. We'll break this one down for us.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers find. I'm almost 100% sure that he spotted it the way he arranged his tiles quickly. Arapaima, the absolutely insane find that he, I think, has spotted. But Matt, to your point, wide open V, that would be the only way he could lose the game afterwards. And then another Z right here. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one for sure for Jackson to give up the style points here. But ultimately, I do think that this is warranted here. Bingoing for 70 points, narrowing Rafi's win condition essentially to a triple right now. If he doesn't have it, this is a clinching and a beautiful play by the 2-time and potentially right on the doorstep of 3-time World Cup champion Jackson Smylie.
What an incredible find. What an incredible word. When you see Arapaima in the dictionary, you think, cool, that's one I'll never play. And instead, you play it for 10,000 smackaroos. Great find from Jackson. Great game from both of these folks. But Rafi has an uphill climb. However, he is not done with one triple open. Why not open another one? Rafi may be able to play something like a gape right here. Jackson can't block both of them, so maybe you throw out another prayer. Again, spread doesn't matter. Winner go home. Winner takes home $10,000. Do it, right?
A gape is a fantastic play. Obviously, your winning chances after that play, not that great, but nor are they great right now. So the fact that you're creating a situation where you will be getting a triple triple open to work with, barring, I guess, Jackson playing a bingo right here with overlaps. Maybe that would block both triple triples through these two parts of the board at once. But yeah, other than that, you get one more crack at it. Why not? This whole tournament has been full of games like this and plays like this. Rafi is very likely to spot that idea here, needing a win at all costs. No point in narrowing the margin of defeat. He's got to find a way to win an essentially unwinnable game.
It looks like instead he's opting for maybe even a better play in PLAGE. What I like about that decision is the leave of AEGI actually seems to work a little bit better with the floaters you must hit. You're trying desperately to bingo through a P or a V. You've got to have some vowels to hit that spot. So that's what Rafi is looking to do here. Put consonants in both spaces and groom my rack to vowels. I think a gape or plage, either one of those makes sense, but it's going to be some sort of gambit that opens a second triple triple. And I swear, if Rafi opens another triple triple and hits it and wins this tournament, that's going to be one we talk about for the rest of time.
Yes, it would. And I feel like, okay, here's a totally different idea. Why not? This is a very, very similar concept, but a different application in a totally different part of the board. Ironically, or not ironically, but just, this is an even more difficult spot on the board for Jackson to block both of these two. Oops, little board spin. To block both of these two lanes is essentially impossible from this position, whereas there was at least a way to maybe do it here. And pretty good draw in the offing for Rafi. Oh, the cue comes to end his shot. The cue has bedeviled him these last few games, Matt. It's back one final time to put the clamps on his winning chances.
They should remove the letter Q from that tile and just put a certain finger on it instead. That's kind of how that feels for Rafi in this instance. However, let's dwell on what's happening right now. Jackson, his best play from equity is Grizz right here, which blocks neither one. And even if Jackson does block one, like Rafi can set up another one with a play here. So, I mean, you can keep throwing open triple triples for a couple more turns. Miracles happen. And if Rafi is able to find a U to go with that Q, this triple triple is going to score 200 or more.
Yep, it will, which is terrifying a little bit. But this E down here, from Jackson's perspective, with two R's and two S's, is just too dangerous to leave open. Looks like he's considering playing hog tie. Couple suggestions of zeroth. Not sure. I'm going to say every variation of it until I say the right one. But that does give up the Z, whereas Jackson is probably hoping it would be great to play a 5-letter word ending in Z to cut the V triple lane off entirely. Now he is coming back around to that Z play down low, Matt. Either one of those looks fine to me.
I would play hog tie simply because, the Z crushes here and here pretty much every time, and Rafi's not going to play there. Or if he does, he'll play here and not here. So holding the Z and cashing it next turn feels great. Hog tie is a good idea, but Mac Miller pointing out, if that possibility is out there, I'm going to take it away. And the possibility for opaquest for 200-something points is still there. That would be awful. Jackson's got to take the E away. Just wants to figure out the right way to do it. I'd keep the Z, but you can't go wrong with either of those options.
I feel like opaquest is probably closer to 300 than 200, but I mean, either way, either of those would be pretty devastating. But yeah, I mean, these plays are definitely worth blocking, and I wonder Jackson is holding on to ZR as opposed to the other letters. Maybe he is getting ready to play those down low. I like these choices for him for sure. Where's he going to be going with this? Looks like Hogtie might be his ultimate choice here. And that's such good recognition on his part to hold on to that Z and really try to draw into something. Maybe he draws Topaz, or, well, I guess with the R, that's not that likely to happen, but we'll see. Either way, nicely played by Jackson for sure.
Yeah, you have to take away Opakist, and Rafi was only 2 tiles off. Opakist was 311 points. So don't let that happen if you're Jackson. You're 99.9 to win. Make sure you take away that 0.1.
Yep, makes sense. That would have been crazy if Rafi had a chance to fish for it one more time, because both of the letters he needs in the form of the U and T were in the bag. You can see Jackson doesn't have any of those on his rack. It would have been a hilarious sweat to see him fish for it, hit it, and then sit and wait to see if he gets his 311-point play or not. That is a pleasure that we will be denied here by Jackson's play of Hogtie.
He could try to set it up one more time if he really wants to. P, E, P, and the perfect 2 trial draw. But unfortunately, the Q would not be on the double letter. This would be 200, not 300, and almost definitely blocked by Jackson.
That's hilarious. Just keep going for it until you win. At some point, it'll happen, right? So, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the game has to end at some point, and the board has to run out of space. But kind of a funny winning strategy. But, man, this has been a tough one for Rafi. Hard to look at this one and say, I mean, what are we supposed to say about this, Matt? That he should have played third instead of ditch? That seems almost inhuman.
I don't think Rafi can really scoff at any decision he made this game, and he made so many good decisions. The play of Wink is incredibly high level on a tight board. This is why Rafi is so good at Scrabble. But against a player as solid as Jackson, drawing the way Jackson drew in this game, Jackson double blanked Rafi. He's really put up a fantastic fight in a game a lot of players would have just been blown out of the water.
He's giving it his all here. He's thinking seriously about how could I possibly generate a winning sequence out of this, and maybe he will elect to play Pep, as you suggest, and hope that Jackson considers the V to be a bigger threat. Yeah, even then, that's going to be a tough one. That Z still lurking. Jackson can just play Za, and he just goes up by so much that even Opakist scoring in the 200s will create a more or less even game after such a short, small scoring play by Rafi. So this is tough. It is always agonizing when a long, grueling Scrabble tournament comes down to just one decisive game, Matt.
One game is never good enough to determine who the best player in the room is, and yet somehow it feels like 31 always is. Jackson has played such lights out Scrabble every time he's been on stream. He's made so many good decisions. He's adjusted his game to different levels of opponents. He snuck some bonies by people, which is the real reason Jackson is as good as he is. Because he is willing to cross a line that other players are not able to cross as effectively. He's great at changing to his opponent. 31 games, the cream rises to the top. These two are at this table for a reason. Jackson's going to be your champion for a reason as well.
We mentioned it yesterday, the ability to win an event of this size and of a field of this depth 3 years running is something we've really only seen, Matt, you said it yesterday, once before. Nigel Richards, the only other player really to win an event like this over and over again for any span. This is actually a pretty historic accomplishment by Jackson Smylie. Rafi has given him absolutely everything he can handle, but he is on the cusp of pulling it off. And it is an accomplishment that we should be giving a huge, huge amount of respect for accomplishing.
Yeah, man, Jackson is in peak performance, and he has been for the last several years. Just consistent, extremely high-level play from him. And what he is doing is practically unprecedented in the Scrabble community, save Nigel. At first, too, I signed up for this event, And as I watched the entrance list, it didn't seem like a lot of the good players were going. And then within the last month or so, the field got stacked. There are some very good players in the room. Nigel Peltier, Laurie Cohen, Ori Swift, just to name a few, Joey Kravchik. There are so many good players at this tournament, and Jackson's going to beat them all 3 years in a row.
Kenji Matsumoto, a surprise to see sign up late. This field has a lot of very strong players in it, none stronger than Jackson. And Rafi is thinking about, I wonder what he's thinking here. This is just a brutal situation for him. You have to pretend, if you're Rafi, that you still have a chance at this somehow. You're still playing, you're still in this game. You're still fighting for a win, even though the odds are decidedly stacked against you. But I love his competitiveness to just continue to grind and figure out what is my best way to do the impossible in this game. Not sure where he's thinking about playing apes here or what he hopes to do for his queue. The very natural play to make in a normal position would just be to play opaque right here through this U, but that's kind of a non-starter as he really needs that V to stay open as a threat. If he does end up playing opaque here, we can really read that as an admission of defeat and an admission of, I just cannot find anything that I think gives me a fighting chance here.
Yeah, Surrender Cobra coming soon, but hey, opaque opens a triple line. It just knocks out the other one. Rafi has never been this close to a championship before. He's going to take every second, and he absolutely should. But getting double blanked by Jackson Smylie is always going to be an uphill climb.
Yeah, for sure. That is what's happened here. 2 blanks and 1 a bingo that is going to be remembered as that clincher. Arapaima with 4 A's. Bingoing with 4 A's, not something you see every day, not something a lot of players could pull off. Of course, player sitting on your left is one of the few that could.
You never know which word it's going to be that wins you the tournament. You got to study all 130,000 of them to make sure you know. If you came up with a list of how likely is a word going to be to win me a tournament, Arapaima would be in the bottom 1 or 2%, I'd say. And yet that's the word that clinches it here for Jackson. Incredible.
Yeah, it's low. It's low on that list. And if you're sitting in the chat and you're thinking to yourself, man, I could never do this. Basically all of us, 99.9% of the human race is saying that. And I just want to shout out that this tournament is brought to you by the Word Game Players Organization and Collins Coalition. And the players in these organizations really run the gamut. You do have your Jackson Smylies, Rafi Stearns, and Edekaros, as we do see Rafi eventually just plop his Q down, hoping for not sure exactly what through the V. But there are players at every level, and I definitely consider making the plunge into over-the-board tournament Scrabble to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. So definitely, go on to Google and check out WGPO and Coco. If you find a tournament in your area, I guarantee you won't be disappointed to take that plunge and join this community for yourself. You will not be pitted against Jackson or Rafi in your first game. There's a lot of players just like you waiting to welcome you over the board.
What a fitting end to this, that Rafi plays the Q and then draws the U. Like, of course, that's how this game ends, because that's Scrabble. This stuff writes itself, I swear. We just sit here and point out how stupid it is sometimes. But to Will's point, yes, you may never be as good as Jackson Smylie or Rafi Stern, and you can still find decades of reward in this game. The deeper you get in Scrabble, the higher a level you play at, the different the game feels, but it is fun at all levels. You face the same decisions of opening and closing the board, keeping good leaves versus bad leaves. You get to try to find bingos and plays that you'll remember forever. I remember when I played my first 9 in a tournament, I thought that was the peak. Felt like a god. And, I never thought I'd get to the point I'm at now. I don't think I'll ever get to where Rafi and Jackson are. And hey, that's that's fine. I met some awesome people. I have friends in nearly every corner of North America now because of this game. Yeah, if you only get to 14 or 1500 or 800, it's still so fun to be around these people, this cliquey little sub community, and all the quirky folks you meet. Just get out there, try to play at a club. I promise Jackson Smylie or Rafi Stern won't mow you down in the first game. There are players closer to your ability. You'll have a great time.
All very true. So Sovereign, the play a lot of the chat was pointing out as a good option for Jackson just to once and for all cut off that triple lane and again preserve the Z for that big Z bomb spot. Makes a lot of sense. Rafi doesn't have anything. Jackson oddly does not draw another vowel, so this tantalizing spot looks like it's going to stay open, or if Jackson plays there, it'll be something like Czar. It won't be the big Z spot that he coveted for the last few turns, but that's all good. He's done phenomenally well to block off the salient threats on the board, those triples at the base of the board through the E of Jiggle and through the V of Vulva. It makes total sense. He's played it beautifully, just the way he's played pretty much every time we've seen him. And Rafi just playing out the string. I gotta say, he's playing hard. He's still thinking about every decision, trying to make the best moves he can. He doesn't seem overly perturbed by his position being quite grim in this game. A lot of props to Rafi for getting so far along, and can't really fault him too much for coming up just short against Jackson.
Yeah, he played his guts out. You see 268 points on the board, but Rafi played a beautiful game cover to cover on this one. You know, sometimes this happens and you leave points on the table to try to maximize win percentage, but Rafi played a great game. Played lights out all tournament. A few turns that he'll never forget about, but he did a great job here. Second's going to feel bittersweet after leading for so much of this, but second is still an absolute accomplishment.
So he is going to go for a pretty annoying spot here. Great job by him to potentially suss out the fact that Jackson might be totally overrun with consonants here and be in a bit of a tough spot to block a consonant in the triple lane here. Rafi drawing OY, so he must now know pretty much that with those two tiles out of the pool. Let me update the score so we can show from Jackson's POV here that it is 433 to 275. It's not updating yet, unfortunately. There we go. So, yeah, Jackson plays just za. That's hilarious. Good, great use of the Z there, Matt.
What if I mistracked horrifically and something awful is going to happen? I'm not going to play Czar just in case, and why not? But nobody's home. Rafi with a terrible rack, drawing the vowels that Jackson didn't have. Jackson Smylie three-peating as your Word Cup champion. Another $10,000 he can add to his massive war chest of Scrabble winnings. What a showing from Jackson.
Pretty amazing stuff. All he has to do is play the string out in this end game. I'm curious whether he's going to finish this with a flourish and play his correct end game here, which for whatever reason is wad through the A of Arapaima. I guess maybe that's also the best place that Rafi can play his A and E under there. I don't know. Maybe it's just he has no options, so scoring 15 points is actually pretty good for him here. Looks like he's getting set to play that, Matt. It's just amazing the level that he's at right now.
Of course, we're going to play our end game right in a game where it doesn't matter. And Rafi, with 0 seconds before the turn, gets the tiles down and goes out without the time penalty. A small victory. Let's cut to overhead mic.
337.59. 459? Yeah. Nice job. That was a doozy. I had no idea how to. I actually had to play that. It wouldn't have worked, but it would have. Like, I'm curious. Just curious, like what would have happened if I'd done it. I don't think I had any chance, but I just want to see. So I actually drew the tile I needed. And I didn't think it would work.
This is before Sovereign, right?
Yeah. I'll play this. Moving QOP. QOPE. Play that like this.
You need opaques.
Yeah, I can draw you for opaques. And then you're probably going to block the triple. And you're probably still going to play Sovereign.
Yeah.
And then what happens if I play, like...
I mean, in reality, I had the Z, so I was going to play Zen or whatever.
Are you sure you want to play Zen and play Sovereign and then save the Z for later?
Maybe.
You can play... You still have it here, too.
That's okay. Maybe let's see.
I'm just curious. I
Yeah.
think I'm still going to lose, though.
Let's see if I just have this Sovereign.
I just needed to not draw the Q there, so I could open another triple for them and actually have a draw to it.
I know, right?
Like, I thought that like Jiggle is like the only way to get down there. I'm so excited. I have 3 shots at triple. It's nice for the Q.
Then you get 137 for 385, and I keep NZ.
Yes, I'm still down a ton.
I guess I would leave. Dude, I would empty the bag, right?
Yeah.
I think you're dead.
Yeah, I'm dead. I'm dead if I do that. So.
If you empty the bag down 50, I
thought about trading the Q. I don't have no, like, I think I'm just dead when I draw the Q.
I wasn't able to catch the stream. Whose was
That was mine.
That's a beautiful play.
That's a nice one for sure.
4-8 goes.
Maybe I'll get another fish tattoo.
Is that a fish?
It's a fish, yeah.
Wow.
Big fish.
Did you win with a fish at different tournaments?
No.
Oh.
But like, I have this guy, so.
I think that's going to be the play associated with this game. I think that's it.
Yeah.
That is.
I just felt like I was doing a lot. Everything I could to give myself a chance to that.
Yeah, I mean, jiggle like you did, but it's obviously at that point you're talking about like such a small chance.
But with the Z and the Q left, like, and if you have the Q, and or if you draw the Q as your last draw or something.
Yeah, I assume you're going for the Z for some big.
I
play
had
there.
347. My 10.
I'm not seeing it.
I had 268.
Yeah.
And then 7.
Yeah.
And then 45.
Yeah. For 320.
Oh, whoopsies. Yeah, you're right.
337. For
Yeah, 337. You always get the math right. I get it wrong like way too much. Nice job.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was such a killer post game
Yeah.
draw. Also, the blank was the last
Congratulations on
tile.
a second.
Oh, thank you.
No, really great run. Great.
Oh, so you didn't have the blanket if I needed?
So I had AIR and I dropped A
Oh, that's
blank.
sick.
Oh, holy fuck. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, I don't.
I had to look up what the blank was because that's not a word I know. That's really incredible. I wasn't watching. Did he listen to the challenged or
No,
I
I assumed you would know it, but
Yeah.
Well, all right. It looks like maybe we're getting all the post-game discussion here. Ultimately, that was a bit of an anticlimax of a round 31 game, but within the context of all the games we saw these two players play and all the games where not just each other, we saw them on stream so many times over the course of the event, Matt. What a story for Jackson Smylie here to come out on top a third straight year.
And the fact that Jackson was able to do this after an abysmal showing at SPC is what makes it so hilarious to me. As I mentioned a couple days ago on stream, Jackson was 9-11 with 1 game to go on day 3 of the SPC, was given the bye because he was doing so poorly that he was the lowest player in the standings who had not yet received it. I texted him that night when he had the bye and said, "You're going to win Word Cup, aren't you?" He said, "Absolutely." And he did. Incredible stuff. Scrabble stories write themselves, and we just enjoy the ride that the tiles give us.
Yeah, you told that story yesterday, and I feel like I was privy to conversations that Jackson had with other people where people were asking him stuff like, you gonna do it? And he was like, "Yeah, of course." course. What could be easier? Of course, he knows both that it's not normal to expect to win events like this. And he was definitely a little bit tongue in cheek, but also he knows how good he is. And he knows his performance here has been so strong. And at some point in the next minute or so, we're going to be able to talk to him about this pretty historic third straight victory. It ranks pretty high on my list, Matt, of most impressive Scrabble accomplishments that I've witnessed.
And Jackson cementing himself as probably one of the top 2 or 3 NWL players in North America. Mac Meller would certainly like a word after his showing at the SPC, but I think maybe those two remain in a stratosphere of their own in NWL land right now, and those two are the champions from South Bend and Albuquerque. We're going to interview Jackson Smylie. I think they're getting him situated right now, but that's going to be very fun. Jackson is getting seated, so give us about 5 seconds and we'll be there. But chat, if you have questions you want us to throw Jackson's way, go ahead and drop them now, and maybe we'll get to them later on in this interview.
So yeah, Jackson's just getting hooked up with his headphones and his audio, at which point we're going to give him all of his props. This is it for those asking. No more games to come. If you have questions for Jackson you'd like us to ask, drop them in the YouTube chat. But I think we have Jackson's audio here. Oh, he's just another minute until we have him back, I think. Should be coming with audio in just a sec. So hopefully if Jax can hear us, we'll cut to that scene and start asking him some questions about how it feels to do the equivalent of Scrabble's Impossible. I guess he's still getting hooked up, Matt. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're getting this configured, folks. Let's just see.
I can hear you guys now.
There we go. Okay. So I think we got him, our champ here. It's Jackson Smylie on the mic. Matt, where do we even start with this guy?
I mean, I would ask you, what does this mean? But you've had this happen not once, but twice now. 3 times in a row, the three-peat, though, Jackson. That puts you in extremely elite company in Scrabble history. We haven't seen anything like this. Let me ask you about the fun stuff first. Money. Did you chop the pot, as a chat was asking about? And also, what are you going to do with all the money you just won?
No, we did not chop the pot. I'm going to speak a bit quietly because people are still playing. But we did not chop the pot. I've chopped before, but never for a major tournament. I think when 10 grand's on the line, you got to just go for it. I kind of like the intensity of playing for an extra $6,500. I live for that intensity. That's what I love about these championship tournaments. So no chop.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I certainly appreciate that competition is still happening behind you. But yeah, huge congrats. No chop. That means you get the full 10K, which is a very, very nice prize. But frankly, the money is awesome for sure. But I will be thinking about the fact that you won a major championship in Scrabble 3 years running. That is just so difficult to do when you consider how many players are strong, how many players have winning chances. It really ranks up there in the very, very top of the most impressive Scrabble accomplishments I've ever witnessed. How do you put that into words of, do you feel that it's, something that you would ever have aspired to achieve, or is it just something you don't even think about because you just take one game at a time?
Yeah, really. I've never thought about a three-peat in a row being on my bucket list because it's never something. When I was a kid, it's never something that I considered was possible that I could do. And after 2 times in a row last year, of course, that was the goal. And I was telling everyone with a lot of brazen confidence that I was going to make it 3. And I didn't really believe that. So it really means a lot. I'm extremely grateful to have had the opportunity to have the right draws and have the right decisions that led me all the way here. Because I know I made so many mistakes every single year. None of the 3 years were played perfectly by me. And so it's humbling at the same time as it's extremely rewarding.
Matt, he says he made so many mistakes, but I don't know. I think we need to jump in there.
Well, you didn't see my
Yeah.
off-stream games. You'll see them on cross tables.
You'll see them on cross tables. I love that. Yeah, precise Scrabble we've come to expect from you pretty consistently on stream. None of the patented Jackson Smylie derps that we've come to love on stream either. I got to read these texts while I've got Jackson. I texted him after he started 9-11 at SPC and said, "You've got to be 70% to win Word Cup. It's the only logical solution." Jackson responds, "Lol, yeah. It's going to be easy." A bit tongue-in-cheek there, but manifesting that into a reality here. That was so incredible. Jackson, we've noticed in Scrabble players who kind of step away from the intensity a little bit and take this more as a hobby, seeming to have some success. Max said he was going to unplug in South Bend, not even look at his phone, and just relax and enjoy his favorite game. You seem to have been relaxing off the board as well, making some music. I plugged it a couple times, but I'm going to drop it again here in front of a big audience. Tell us about not Jackson Smylie, the Scrabble player, but Jack Smylie, the musician.
Yeah, so I mean, I started making music about 2 years ago. Started recording just in my home studio. And yeah, I started putting together an album, and I'm really proud that it just came out just over a month ago. It's called Seeing Yellow. It's out on all platforms. It's a 5-song EP. And yeah, I mean, it's my other passion in life, you know, somewhere in between a hobby, the passion. And, you know, I'm so grateful that I can have two completely different outlets, like one more creative and one more kind of mathematical, technical. And so I feel, once again, grateful to be able to, you know, pursue both these things very seriously and have the space to do that. So yeah, if anyone likes folk music, kind of psychedelic music, check out Seeing Yellow. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, it's interesting that you classify those two hobbies in that way, because I think of you as one of the most creative and fun Scrabble players out there to watch as well. Definitely appreciate that you also are a technician on the mathematical and probabilistic side. But yeah, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in tournament Scrabble. Amazing to see it. It is like a pleasure. I was about to say treasure. That also works to watch you play this game, and huge congratulations on a third straight World Cup championship. We'll let you get back to it out there, but amazing job, man. The chat's loving you, and you did an amazing job.
Yeah, thanks so much for the commentary, you guys. Really appreciate it.
All right, so there you have it. Jackson, fresh off of his win, getting to plug his new album, which again, I listened to it a little bit, and the guy is a multi-threat talent for sure. So definitely encourage anybody that wants to see a Scrabble champion who's also a fantastic musician. Check that Spotify link that Matt put in the chat up there. So, geez, Matt, is there any other procedural business? I guess a round of thank yous, but any final thoughts on what we've just seen on the Scrabble side? Maybe a thought or two about Rafi as well and his performance.
Second place at a major is fan-freaking-tastic, and Rafi's got to feel like he backed into it, but Scrabble has weird paths and weird journeys for you on a tournament. At the end of the day, if you had told Rafi coming in, you're going to get second at World Cup, he'd give himself a big fat thumbs up, and he should. Great performance from Rafi. There are a ton of thank yous to go around, but since I jumped in late, I don't quite have the list of all the names. So I'm going to take or let Will do some of that. But before I give him that opportunity, the biggest thank you of all goes to Will for putting this together on his channel, fighting through COVID, which he came down with on day one. We've seen some improbable comebacks on stream, but the Will Anderson comeback, incredible. So Will, thank you for putting it together. Thanks to the honey farmers across America for their combined efforts to get Will through this event. Thanks to you. Thanks to Christian and Andrew on the ground. Thanks to everybody watching, chatting with us in between games, during games, asking great questions. Thanks to everybody who's been part of Tournament Scrabble in general. And if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video. This is Will Anderson's channel. There is so much Scrabble content for players of all levels on this channel. Check out some of his work if you haven't yet seen it. It's incredible. And with that, I'll shut up and let Will wind down this stream.
Well, I have a backlog about a mile long of videos I need to make now after this month and after this stream in particular. I'm going to be at this very desk for basically the rest of my entire life, chronicling what we've seen on this stream over the last week and what you brought to us at the Scrabble Players Championship the week earlier. But apart from that, just want to shout you out, Matt. Amazing to commentate with you over these last 2.5, closer to 3 days. It was an absolute pleasure. Also to my other co-commentators over the course of the event. Let's see if I can list them and not leave anybody out. That would be Sam Rosen, Nitch Chugty, and Emmett Brasowski. I think those were the three. Thank you so much to all of them. And lastly, everybody behind the scenes. You mentioned Christian and Andrew K. producing the stream, making it look so beautiful the way you all see it right here, but also the team of directors at the Word Game Players Organization, WGPO, and Collins Coalition. Amazing, amazing work by those two organizations. This stream brought to you in huge part because of all the work that those two organizations have done to set up and execute the 2024 Word Cup. So with that, I don't think there's any, more left to say other than I got to get cracking on about 10 videos of incredible high-class Scrabble. A lot of them are going to have our champion from this year, Jackson Smylie, and some will be from our Collins champion, Ed Acaro. Huge congratulations to him as well. But with that, thank you so much to everybody for watching. That's going to do it for this year from Albuquerque, New Mexico at the 2024 World Cup.